Good morning. Would you make your way to your seats, please? Good morning. Welcome to the Santa Rosa County Board of County Commissioners meeting. It's May 22nd. This is the committee meeting. Would you please take a moment to silence your cell phones? Before we get into the opening ceremonies, Commissioner Salter is a little under the weather and won't be with us today. We have a quorum. Three-man board will do, and if you see a 2-1 vote, that's fine. That's legal, and that's the way it's done in the state of Florida. I'll start on my left with Commissioner Cole. Do you have any additions to the?
No additions, sir.
Commissioner Lynchard?
No changes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Walker? No. Ms. Jones? Mr. Blaylock? Ms. Bell? Okay, the agenda is set. Ms. Brenda Lewis from Woodbine Methodist Church is with us this morning. Would you come lead us in prayer, please, ma'am? If you'll press the button on your right, it will turn a red light on, and then your mic is hot. Okay, you have to have a red light. There you go.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, first of all, I'd like to thank you for each and every person here today and their commitment to this county. Bless them with wisdom from above, guide them and lead them. Give them hope in every problem, open their eyes to what you are doing among us, and give them peace in knowing you promise to always be with us. We invite the Holy Spirit here to protect them from harm and empower them from wisdom from above, knowing that all good things can come from anything. Please help them to leverage their power to protect, secure, and care for the people of this county. Continue to bless them with your presence in the days ahead, and let your peace be their guide. In Jesus' name, amen.
Would you join me in the pledge to the flag, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Approval of minutes of April the 10th, April 24th, special meeting. I move approval of objection. Hearing none, it passes. We've approved the today's agenda, and we have a proclamation. And I don't know that we have anybody to receive it. We're going to present these at the north and south end at the Monday ceremony. County of Santa Rosa proclamation. Whereas since 1868, Memorial Day has been uniquely an American day of remembrance on which we pay our respects and honor the memory of more than 1 million Americans who died in battle and made the ultimate sacrifice for our country and our freedoms. And whereas in keeping with the traditions that have preceded us, many of us have friends and family members who have selflessly given themselves to the future of this great nation and who we honor on this day. And whereas these soldiers were someone's child, someone's spouse, someone's parent, and it is important that we remember every day in this great nation that our freedom came at a price, and whereas veterans have bravely served in all parts of the world, not only fighting for our freedom, but for all mankind, and whereas Santa Rosa County joins with other counties throughout the state of Florida and the United States of America in honoring those who have given their lives and recognizing that their sacrifices were noble, their heroism unparalleled, and their dedication to God and country unforgettable. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that May the 26th, 2014, be observed as Memorial Day in Santa Rosa County in remembrance and in honor of the veterans who have given their lives in service of our county, Santa Rosa County Board of County Commissioners, signed by me as chairman. And I will present this one at the south end Commissioner Salter has one that he will present at his ceremony in the north end. Next will be a public hearing at 9:30, and we will stop at that point in time and come back and hear the issue of vacation of Lot 4, Block 3, Florida Town Addition, Section 23, Township 1 North, Range 29 West in Santa Rosa County. First on the agenda is Economic Development Committee. Commissioner Salter is the lead, and I'm the vice chair on that. So, item number 1 is recommended proposal in the amount of $10,000 from the University of West Florida Haas Center for the 2014 Military Transitioning Study of Santa Rosa County and Northwest Florida region, funded through the Florida Defense Reinvestment Grant. And backups in the back of the book. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. That concludes the Economic Development Committee and brings us to the Administrative Committee, and we have 14 items. Item number 1 is recommend resolution providing for a non-binding referendum on November the 4th, 2014, ballot regarding incorporation of the area south of East River, including voting precincts 26, 29, 34, 35, 38, and 40 only. And for you at home, that will basically be south of Holly at the East River and to the Okaloosa County line and down to, I think it's Edgewood. And those, I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Cole.
I thought we had people here to speak on this.
Yes, ma'am.
Etta Waller, 2532 Cedar Crest Lane, Navarre, Florida. This is on the Inc. Navarre on incorporating question, correct?
It is. Well, it's for the non-binding referendum
Okay.
regarding incorporation of the areas.
I have no issue with the non-binding straw poll put on the November ballot, but I'd like to make a request from the county to compile a fact sheet on the revenues from Navarre Beach, and what the county currently allocates to this area. I want to see some numbers from Public Works, Public Services, Engineering, Grant Writing Office, Sheriff's Office, and the like. Also, would like to see the costs, projected costs on beach renourishment, the bridge across the Sound, Navarre Beach Water and Sewer Treatment Plant, engineering stormwater drainage projects, road capacity projects, and the like. The county might as well get working on the numbers. The revenue dollars the county will release to the city of Navarre, and the expenditures a city would have to assume. This is all information that would be needed for a feasibility study. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones? Okay. Item number 2 is recommend
Mr.
resolution.
Chairman, we still have people want to talk here.
Turn the light back on. Press the right-hand button, your right-hand button. Yeah, there you go.
All right, thank you. Sorry, technology gets me sometimes. My name is Timothy Carson. I've had 29 years of military experience, and I'm kind of concerned about this incorporate Navarre issue. I would hope that the gentleman would would go back just 1 second and look at what a municipal services benefit unit will do. There are several items on this thing. It says you can do this for road paving, sewer lines, street lighting, speed bumps, fire protection, etc. This is a process that is already in place by the county. And I would hope this process would be used with this incorporate Navarre issue. I apologize that I didn't bring this forward last time this issue came up. I was about to send an email to all the commissioners saying, when people want to incorporate Navarre, have them use this process. The process requires the individuals to go forward, come up with the estimates, determine the costs, and then it's reviewed by the county OMB. The OMB then goes ahead and says, yes, this is good. Then it requires a petition to be done where 60% of those people who are affected by that decision will agree to it. This will take care of the non-binding resolution. Biggest problem I have right now is when I've been addressed by these folks, I've been just given emotional responses. We don't get the stuff they get in Milton. They don't get the stuff they have in Gulf Breeze. We don't have our roads paved. Well, there's a process to get your roads paved. There's a process to get things done. And as opposed to circumventing the process that is in place going forward with a vote, let's get the citizens, I understand there's a study that's going to be done. First time I've heard a positive thing. Well, let's get the study done. Let's submit the numbers to the OMB. Let's use the process that is in place by the county. Get those people to get signatures on a petition, and then we know people support it, and it's made a fact-based decision. We need to move this out of an emotional, knee-jerk response, which I've seen in my 29 years in the military, result in the wrong answer. Let's get the facts. Let's use the process that's in place, and let's not put this on the ballot, please.
Thank you very much, and that's a very misunderstood point. You're dead on. Those items that you pointed out are not the responsibility of this board at this time. The legislature has a detailed step, and incorporating Navarre, I'm sure, is aware of what those steps are. This non-binding straw poll is to indicate interest or to provide a voice for those who are in favor or not in favor. However, it will not result in incorporation. To result in incorporation, there is a strict procedural set of things that have to happen, detailed by the legislature, and there's several things that have to happen before it ever comes before this board. So the parties requesting that have very specific things to do, and I'm assuming they know what those things are. So all we're doing is allowing the citizens to say yes or no on a straw vote. It has nothing to do with the final outcome other than it shows interest or shows no interest, but it doesn't advance the ball of incorporation at all. It just provides a measuring stick to gauge public sentiment on this issue, which this board is proud to provide, but it doesn't advance the ball at all. There's a very strict set of things that have to happen, and it's the responsibility of those requesting the initiative to make those things happen. So I hope that helps. And if it doesn't, if you would like to contact Ms. Jones after the meeting, she will give you the citation. Perhaps if they have time, they'll print it out for you. It's only about 3 pages long. So, but there's some very specific things that have to happen, and it's the responsibility of the requesting party that those things happen. So please don't get confused with what we're doing here. Anybody else want to speak to this before we move on?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Cole.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to support this, but I'd like for this board to also indicate to staff or direct staff to basically convey what Ed has said as far as those figures go, so that anybody that's interested in looking at this on either side, whether you're for or against, that information is available, readily available. I think we ought to post it on the website, make a page for it, and have it available between now and November, so citizens can get direct information. I thought Ed to put it in a very good manner. It's on record, so staff will know what to do. But I think until we direct staff to do so, that's not going to get done. So I'd like to add that caveat to that we'll move this forward with those recommendations.
Well, you're mixing issues if we do that, because if you turn your mic off, we won't have feedback. As Ms. Jones can explain to us all, this is not part of the formal process of pursuing incorporation. That there is the steps that was asked for from the floor, and the steps you just were discussing are included in the required step of the requesting party to get the feasibility study. And that's where all that comes together in the feasibility study.
But that would be after November. I feel like if I was going to vote on this, I would like somewhere I could go to. If somebody comes up to me that's against it and says, oh, we're not going to have sheriff's protection anymore, we'll have to have our own police force, that should be something I should be able, as a citizen, to go to and find out how much money is spent by the sheriff's office in this particular area on average that would be offset by a community police force, or any number of questions like that that as a voter, as an educated voter, would need to have to make a decision. Yes, I am for incorporation, or no, I'm not for incorporation. So I don't think us allowing staff some time and leeway to put some figures together and put that available to the citizens would only enhance the ability of a citizen to make an educated decision on this.
Commissioner Lyncher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree. If we can come up with a fact sheet, not an opinion piece, but a fact sheet on allocation of resources, there's been talk about franchise fee, for example, where the franchise fee currently goes. We have a percentage that goes to economic development, road and bridge, and then parks and recreation. So just the basic facts on where those, where some of those funding sources currently go, how they're allocated. I don't want staff to get too far down in the weeds on putting together any kind of feasibility study or really trying to show how much of road and bridge is, how much time they spend in Navarre versus Gulf Breeze or Pace or Milton. I think that'd just be an exercise in futility trying to track that down. And then somebody would say that it was being skewed one way or the other. So, but whatever, factual, non-biased information we can put together, we've got plenty of time. It's going to be on the ballot in November. So we can direct staff just to start looking into that and see what we can do.
I'm real concerned for the county to do the feasibility study. I think there are going to be some value judgments that are involved. I mean, who's to say who's going to do what? I mean, those are going to be policy decisions, political decisions that are going to be made as this goes through some kind of process. I mean, I think that we could try to put together some kind of fact sheet. I'm just not sure. I mean, there's going to have to be a lot of judgment. There'd have to be a lot of anticipation. I mean, let us at least try to think about it. I mean, of course, we've got a few other things that we're doing as far as recovering from the floods and our own budget and trying to do something about a courthouse. So, I mean, I've got my staff, and that's what I've got. So, I mean, maybe we can try to think something through and maybe come back to you in 2 weeks if we can kind of put together some kind of fact sheet on that. I mean, I know what you're saying, and if there's something that we can do, I'd be glad to do it. We provided the revenue piece of it. The expense piece is going to be a little different because those are levels of service, but I'm not sure how we can get snapshots of that in time. But let us think about it. I think this is a larger undertaking.
It creates some confusion because until I printed out the document that the attorney provided me earlier in the week and read it through 2 or 3 times, I didn't understand it either. The feasibility study is the responsibility of the requesting party. It has to be put together, and there's procedural steps, and you have to do A before you can do B, and B has to be completed before you proceed to C. And the straw poll is to indicate an interest, but when we start mixing that with elements that begin to look like a feasibility study, you've heard the argument from the staff, and that's my only concern, is that we overload them. Commissioner Cole.
Thank you. Just a suggestion, Mr. Walker, through this chair. We've got an excellent PIO office, and she just got an excellent assistant. Maybe a place on our website where people can do Q&A. And as we receive some questions and answers, the county put out the correct answer rather than it being an opinionated thing, And I don't know what some of those questions might be, but, Joy can certainly field those. I just feel like the scuttlebutt is going to lean into this, and we need to, if a person is truly interested in being educated on this, then they need to get the information directly from the county rather than just what's out there floating.
We could ask the PIO to publish those 3 pages that the attorney provided to me, and that's a great idea. We'll get that put on the internet, and you can read it for yourself. It's procedural in nature, and A has to happen before you can proceed to B. So it's a very lockstep procedure, and it's detailed. What you have to do when what has to be accomplished has to come back through this board when you get down to around step 3, and then when it clears the clerk, the supervisor of elections, and back to us, and then it leaves us and goes to the legislature, and the legislature either buys off on it or they don't buy off of it. But there's a very strict regimen of things that have to happen, and they have to happen in a specified order. Yes, ma'am.
Sandra Cantu, Highway 9577, Highway 90, Milton, Florida. Regardless of which way things go, whether Navarre is incorporated or not incorporated, whatever happens is going to affect all the residents of Santa Rosa County. You're going to have money taken from this pot and gone over to that pot. So it would seem to me that it would be the responsibility of the board, since you're going to be responsible for all the people anyway, to provide the information to whoever it is that wants the area to be incorporated. Let them grab the ball and run with it, but at least provide them with the information and tell them where to go if they don't know. But again, whatever happens is going to affect all the residents of Santa Rosa County, and that includes the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm Billy Neal. My current residence is 2418 Pine Needle Lane, Navarre. I've been a Santa Rosa County property owner for more than 25 years. For many of the 42 years plus that I wore the green uniform of the U.S. Army, I had a map hanging on my wall, and it showed my little piece of heaven. The map is right back there. And I told people that's where I could be found after retirement. Not a lot's changed in that map since I first got it more than 25 years ago. The objections raised on this issue at Monday's commissioner meeting have been addressed. The issue raised by the residents of Holly, not wanting to be included, you've addressed that in the wording to be placed on the resolution. They will not be included. The issue of funding for the issue, there is no Santa Rosa County tax money that will be used for this study. This study is the information gathering process to convince me and to convince the residents of the proposed incorporation area that it is something good that we should do, or maybe it's something bad that we shouldn't do. I don't know the answer to that. In the research that I've done, the thing that strikes me the most is that this is an issue that should be decided by the voters of the area involved. I think that each of the commissioners, when asked this question sometime in the past, the response had been basically somewhere along the lines of that you would support it if that's what the voters wanted. So the question now should be, let's do this study, and before we start second guessing it and requiring staff to do things or pushing the direction one way or the other, let the study be finished. It's my understanding it'll be finished by the end of June. It'll be posted on our website. Copies will be provided to county staff, to the county commissioners, and then it's the job of this group to sell this issue. I hope I'm one of the people that attempt to sell it when I get the data, but I don't have it, so I don't know. So I just ask that you've made your decision, place it on there. Let's go through the process now, as Commissioner Melville, you've indicated, and let's see what happens.
And again, I want to say that's not an optional process. That's the process that you go through that is required by Florida law. It's not if that's the way you want to do it. If you want to be incorporated, you must follow those steps.
Yes, sir.
And don't want any confusion on that, about that issue. And those steps are very specific. And A has to happen, and B has to happen, and C has to happen. So we're saying the same thing in just a slightly different manner, but that's what this board is attempting to do. We're attempting to fulfill the request of the citizens to take a straw poll, but it in no way whatsoever other than gives an indication to the incorporating committee what the will of the affected area is. It doesn't have any legal effect at all. You still have the state established procedure that you have to go through. Okay, I hope that helps, because that it was very confusing to me and probably to the other commissioners too, because this time and one more time will make 2 times I've been through this procedure. So it's new to me too. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I had a question. Billy, Billy? Thank you. Billy, just for clarification, you said that the study will be done by June. I wasn't familiar with it. The other day we talked about $27,500 for a study. I don't think we passed that. So as the committee that's for Navarre Incorporating, are they going to go ahead with the study? If I missed that memo, I apologize, but I want to.
Yes, sir. It's my understanding that the concerned citizens of Navarre, that the group, because of the objections raised by several taxpayers and some of the commissioners at the meeting the other day, that if funding was an issue, okay, not to use Santa Rosa County taxpayer money, we would fund it ourselves.
Okay.
Our group.
See, I wasn't aware of that. If anybody else was, I'd like to know. Well, that's good. I mean, because that's exactly the kind of information that between then and November that I was talking about early, giving people an educated, opinion on which way they want to go. Just as you said, you hope after you get the information, you're going to be still one of the people pushing it forward. So, that was new to me. So I want to get that out to everybody too, that study will be done and concluded. So that pretty much takes off the board what I wanted from our staff, because that'll be done and out to the public. So that's a great thing, because I've always said I'll support what the majority of people down there want, and I'll continue to do that. So thank you.
Now, I'm not a rich man, and a majority of the people that are for this issue right now are not rich people. So if the county would like to donate to that fund, it would cut down on the amount of work that we have to do, and we certainly appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate you. Yes, ma'am, Irene. Have to push that right, yeah.
I'm Ira Mae Bruce, 7189 Wells Avenue, Navarre. I think that the reason we asked for a straw poll was to indicate whether or not people were interested in incorporation, because the petition drive is not one that the supervisor of elections determines whether the people are eligible to vote in the election. So we thought that it'd be better to have some process in which we knew that, and that's when Commissioner Lynch suggested it be on the ballot in November as a straw poll. I think before I can't speak for the incorporation people, but I was also against the county paying for that incorporation study. The county paid for a part of one, and it was flawed. If the county does decide to participate, I think the county commissioners need to be the people that goes through the same vetting process that we do on everything the county does, is call for bids and proposals and bring it forward. But I think what Commissioner Lynch came up with as a starting point, and since they apparently have said that they have the money and they can do their study, they can start working on their study whenever they want to, and then people will have more to listen to when they have the straw poll. But we still need to know how many people in the area are really interested before a lot of money is spent.
And again, at the risk of repeating myself, we'll have it posted on the website hopefully before the day is over, but there's a series of steps that you have to go through, and those will have to go through the supervisor of election. There will have to be a petition collected, and you'll have to have a certain percentage of the electorate for the affected voting precincts, and she will have to buy off on that and sign off on that. Very regimented set of rules you go by, but I'm sure the committee knows all about that.
I'm sure, and the big thing is that the public know what they're voting for when they vote.
Absolutely.
And I think there's been some information handed out that about what the city would get that normally is currently being collected by the county, and how the county would be able to fund, would raise county taxes because of what the city would return. There's just a lot of misinformation out there, and I really think that that straw poll is going to be a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, gentlemen. Laurie Gallup, 1869 Flamingo Lane, Navarre. The citizens to incorporate Navarre have engaged BJM Consulting, Joe Mazurkiewicz, he's here with us today, to do the feasibility study, and the citizens of Navarre will fund that study, will collect the money, and we will get the job done. So Mr. Mazurkiewicz is here today, and he will be interviewing, he'll be sending questionnaires and interviewing each of you personally and our staff so that we can all get the facts that we need and the information that everyone will need so they can make an informed vote at the straw poll. And I do want to thank you for agreeing to allow the straw poll. I believe it's a very important step so that we can judge what Navarre wants to do for self-determination. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Timothy Karsten, 2264 Moray Drive, Navarre, Florida. I guess I didn't say that last time. I have two issues. One, I'm hearing we will fund. I would really appreciate putting off the approval of the straw vote until the study is completely funded. Right now I have a promise. I would appreciate having facts before we have a vote.
Do you understand that the straw poll has absolutely no
Yes, sir.
bearing whatsoever on the official checklist that they have to complete?
Yes, sir,
Because
I understand that.
Okay.
What I'm asking for is that the voters be able to make an informed decision. At this point in time, we have a promise of a study. And it sounds like they have, they're still looking for funding for that study to get it completed. I would ask, number one, that the study be completed, then the vote for the straw poll.
There is a very specific checklist. The feasibility study is not item number one.
Understand that, sir.
They have to do item number one before they can proceed to item number two. What we do here today won't affect that checklist one iota.
I understand that you are following the process as you said, but they are also telling me that they have people that are engaged in a study. They're telling you that they have people that will be engaged in the study. My request would be is let's do the straw poll after they have completed the study and then approve the straw poll so people can make an informed decision.
If they do it out of order, then shame on them. They'll probably get to do it
Understand
twice. I mean, the state will rule on that. That's not an issue that we'll deal with.
The second item I have is Holly was able to get themselves off of this. Now, would this petition or would this result in if a precinct says they don't want to be a part, say precinct 26 says they don't want to be a part of the city of Navarre, would they be able to fall off this, the wagon, so to speak, or would they be incorporated with everybody else because their number is up on that list?
That is an issue that the Florida legislature will address when all of this is finished. It's not something this board is going to do. We have a role around about step one, step two, where something has to come back through procedurally. When the petitions are gathered, there's on that checklist, there's a procedure for submitting it. It comes through the constitutional offices back to us, and that's the only thing we have to do with it, is to make sure that I's were dotted and T's were crossed, and then it goes to the legislature.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time and consideration of the issues, and
Yes, sir.
I don't want to belabor this point
No,
anymore.
that's fine. It's very confusing, and it hadn't been done in Santa Rosa County in a long, long time.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Commissioner
Just a
Cole.
quick question. Lori, could you address this, or can your consultant address it? Sir, just a second. Sir, give me. Yes, sir, just a moment. I'll be right with you.
Yeah, if you'll sit
Chairman.
down, yeah. Yes, sir. If you'll take a seat, we'll recognize you right after this speaker. Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Yes.
Did you make the comment that it'll be done by the end of June? Or can your consultant confirm that?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the plan.
You got any problem putting a caveat on the recommendation for the resolution for the straw ballot that it goes on in November, provided this gentleman's done with his work by the end of June? So the citizens will have that length of time to study it?
I'm sorry, I didn't really understand.
It would just be a simple caveat that this recommendation for the resolution for the non-binding referendum will go on the ballot on November 4th for all these precincts, just as it's read, provided that the feasibility study is done so that citizens can review it by the end of June, or even 1st of July, whatever he's comfortable with.
At the risk of repeating myself.
Mr. Chairman,
Just a minute, sir, you're about to create some confusion. The feasibility study would be, if you do a feasibility study, you'll probably get to do a second one. No. Well, if you know that for a fact, it's your money you're gambling with. But there is a state checklist that says how you do things, and you can start the feasibility study if you want to, but they don't have, they can make you, they being the Florida legislature, can make you do another one, and that's my understanding. That's what I didn't want the confusion to get created. If they do it, they may have to do a second one.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, Joe Mazurkis, I'm president of BGN Consulting. I've done 18 incorporation feasibility studies in the state of Florida. If you look at the Florida Handbook for Incorporations, how to set up a new municipality, you will see my studies cited as the way to do it. I've just recently finished the incorporation feasibility report and successfully walked that through the Florida legislature for Estero, Florida. Of the 18 studies I've done, 4 have if Estero is successful, 4 will become cities. So it is, as the chairman said, is a very in-depth process, fraught with hurdles. This feasibility study will meet the requirements of the Florida statutes, Mr. Chairman, as you so clearly laid out, along with the straw poll showing community support, if it does show community support, all of which are on that checklist. Commissioner, I would commit to a drop-dead date at the end of June if I had control of all the data that I need to finish that study, but if you would be flexible to say the end of June, first 2 weeks of July, we'll be there.
Yes, sir. I've heard from citizens, and I think you, from sitting here, realize what the information I'd like to garner for everybody to have an educated opinion. I think you'd do an outstanding job for that. I've just heard your credentials, so I don't have a problem with that. And that's all I was trying to get to earlier with staff. So everybody is on the same sheet of music.
Yes, sir.
And that way in November, and this gentleman speaking earlier, if we go ahead and move this resolution without putting that caveat on that the citizens have your information to go through, then it could go through without that information. And that's all I'm looking for. So, yeah, certainly I'd say even the end of July. That still gives people plenty of time till November.
We will get it done, and the study, let me just say a couple things about the study. Number one, it is I heard talk about passion, and anytime we talk about adding a level of government, people's passions get
Yes, sir.
raised. It's a non-passionate presentation of facts. It also draws no conclusions, makes no recommendations. I do not live in Santa Rosa County. I do not live in Navarre. I present the facts as unbiased as possible, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then a 5-year fiscal projection, which is required by the statute, saying that based on these scenarios, and I will disclose every scenario that I use, every projection, every revenue store, every increase to revenue, every increase to population, based on those scenarios, at the end of 5 years, there will be either a reserve or there'll be a need to raise taxes because, as members of local government, you can't budget in a deficit. You have to balance your budget every year, and that's exactly what it will show.
That's exactly what I think the citizens out there are looking for. Lori, thanks for doing that. And that's all I'd ask is that I don't see where it'd be a problem to put that caveat on there so our citizens feel comfortable they're going to get the right information. So.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, come on up. Yes, sir. You need to turn the red, there you go.
Yes, I'm hard of hearing, so I don't know what's been talked about here today. but I have a few questions I need to clear up.
We need your name and your address, please.
My name is Carlos Sweeney, Carlos Sweeney, and I reside, my property in Pace, but I reside out close to Whiting Field on 6992 Begonia Street. And I have property in that area, so I received a
Sir,
notice.
are you here to speak about the non-binding referendum that we're discussing for the Navarre area? Because if you're not, I'm going to have to ask you to wait and bring your issue to us during the public forum. The attorney will help you with that. Ms. Jones will take a peek at it for you and get you.
I think he got notified for the rezoning meeting tonight, if he's talking about prom.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. The time is well past 9:30. We will hold the administrative agenda there at the completion of item 1 and move to our public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, have we completed item 1
Yes, sir, we did.
with the caveats that I asked for? I mean, you
No,
moved it before
no,
everybody.
I moved it before that.
Anybody
So
spoke,
yeah, we need to redo that. I need a motion to amend that from,
So I'll make a motion to amend it with a caveat that the recorder has on that it's just provided, let's say, the end of July, that the feasibility study's finished and the citizens have the ability from July till November to do to review that and let the citizens' voice be heard.
can you do that without objection?
Yes, sir.
Hearing none, it passes. So we have amended number 1. Okay, public hearing. The public hearing is regarding the vacation of Lot 4, Block 3, Florida Town Addition, Section 23, Township 1 North, Range 29 West, Santa Rosa County. Don't know who's gonna, we might need to wait a minute. Ms. Jones is.
Yes, that gentleman may be here for the public hearing. I didn't think about there being the proposed vacation. I just zeroed in.
My apologies. Mr. Sweeney is here for the 9:30, the vacation, and Ms. Sabuka is searching for a device that will enable him to hear that portion of the meeting.
Okay, so can we proceed? Will you help us with this, what we need to do now, the public hearing for this vacation?
Yes, sir.
We've announced it. What else do we need to do?
I'm sorry, I was out, so I don't know what you've done. Have
That's
you
quite
asked
right.
for public?
I read the text under the public hearing that we are here to discuss the vacation of Lot 4, Block 3, Florida Town Addition, Section 23, Township 1 North, Range 29 West, Santa Rosa County.
Essentially, this applicant wants to vacate the lot and essentially return the lot to acreage. So it would be a meets and bounds legal description as opposed to a lot. He wants to do that, I believe, so that he can rezone the lot to a different zoning category. Have you asked for public comment, Mr. Chairman?
No, we just introduced the subject.
And that would be what we would need to do. And of course, Mr. Sweeney is here. He and I spoke only briefly. I don't know if he is opposed or in favor. I think he may just have questions.
Okay. All right, we'll wait till he gets his,
Is the applicant here, the petitioner?
I have no idea. Okay, Mr. Sweeney, can you hear us okay now? You can hear better now. All right, sir, would you like to discuss this issue with us? Yes, sir, turn your light on, push the right-hand button. There you go. Go ahead.
Okay, I would like to know who owns this land at the proper time? At this time?
I have no idea. Ms. Jones, who owns this property? Do you?
Mr. Steve Blanton is either in title or under contract to purchase it.
Okay, and why are we vacating it?
Ms.
What's the
Jones?
purpose? What's the purpose?
Ms. Jones?
I'm afraid I don't know what his ultimate goal with it is. I think Mr. Sweeney wants to know, how's it going to be, what's it going to be used for? How's it going to be developed? That type of thing, and I'm afraid I do not know the answer to that.
But the vacation itself won't affect the zoning.
Correct.
So whatever it is zoned now, unless this person comes forward and asks for a change in zoning, it won't affect the zoning, if that's your concern. Right now, all he's doing
But
is...
my question, sir, was why is it going to be vacated? What's the purpose?
Sir, I don't know. He's just asked us to hear his request. He doesn't have to have a real reason other than he just wants to do it.
Okay, and if it is vacated, how will it be used?
Commissioner Cole, you want to?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I've got some confusion here too. When we call this a vacation or vacation of the property, I'm pretty, and I apologize for not being up to speed on this, but normally that's when we have a piece of partial county property that's dedicated to the county for drainage easements or whatever. I'm wondering what the difference is here. If this is all property owned by this Mr. Blanton, where's the vacation coming in at? I'm with Mr. Sweeney. What are we vacating and why?
I don't know that I can say the why as far as developing it or what, I don't know what his plan with it is. Okay. But it is part of a plat that he would like to see vacated. Okay. So the maybe one way to say this would be a partial vacation of a plat. Okay. Now, often we do see roads or drainage systems or something like that, but this is a lot in a plat, so that this lot, if you will, comes out of the plat and is returned to acreage. You will no longer describe it as Lot 4 of a subdivision. It will have a meets and bounds legal description associated with it.
And that's what concerns me. I don't have a problem with vacation, but when you say meets and bounds, and I automatically think of driveways hitting streets and no holding ponds. And if we vacate it, I would only support that if this gentleman knows if he plans to develop this piece of property, that he develops it as a subdivision, not as a meets and bounds.
I don't believe it's large enough to develop as a subdivision.
Or, well, even if, I just want to, after the occurrence we just had, I want to make sure we're not pouring more water on the county right-of-ways as people build homes and stuff. We've had a warning shot fired across our bow here a few weeks ago. We need to address that. I've been out visiting a lot of people that, have meets and bounds properties, and it just causes more and more problems. So we need to get a handle on that while we can. So.
Well, it's always been my experience that the land is owned by the county or the state when you vacate it. Why would a person that owns the property want to vacate a property?
And sir, that was my question, if I might, Mr. Chairman. That was my question to the county attorney. It's not county-owned property or state-owned property that's being vacated. He's trying to vacate, I believe, if I'm answering this correctly, the current usage of the property.
He wants to take it out of the plat.
Okay. It's platted as one thing, and he wants to remove it from that plat and able to use it for another reason. So it's not county or state property. It belongs to this gentleman.
It seems to me like the word vacate is being used a little bit wrong here. To vacate means to turn it back to the county.
No, sir, that's not what it means.
The county turn it.
No, sir, that's not what it means. He's just wanting to change. It doesn't affect his ownership of the property, and it does not affect the zoning of his property. It changes it from one addressing system in the real estate system to a different type of an addressing system. And why he wants to do that is beyond me, but that's what he's asking us to do.
That's a little bit confusing to me.
It is a little confusing, but he's asking that instead of having his land referred to as Lot 4, Block 3, Florida Town Addition, Section 23, Township 1 North, Range 29 West, he wants it in meets and bounds, which would be, beginning at the northeast corner of the section number so-and-so and moving, for whatever reason. Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, I think we still have a few too many unanswered questions, and the applicant is not here, so I would move that we continue this public hearing to 2 weeks from today, or 3 weeks from today. Let's get a date specific, yeah.
To the public hearing, at 9:30, June the 12th.
Yeah, it is. Now, that will that will allow more time for the details to be developed. I need a motion.
I made one.
Okay.
Without objection.
All right, so without objection, we will move this issue forward to, what was the date again? June?
12th, at 9:30, the public
All right,
hearing.
we'll move this forward to June the 12th at 9:30 a.m.
And staff can contact Mr. Blanton and do everything we can to get him here so that he can answer the questions that seem of most concern to Mr. Sweeney, and I know to the board as well.
Yeah, it's always been my experience when they vacate a property, they divide it between the people that own the ground next to it.
No, sir, this is a different situation.
Okay, that's the reason I had questions about vacating.
I understand that could get very confusing. And your motion was without objection. All right, hearing none, it passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your interest in coming down.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
through the chair to Ms. Jones, make sure Mr. Sweeney,
Okay, back to the Administrative Committee, item number 2. Recommend resolution authorizing issuance of revenue bonds for refinancing water and sewer improvements by the Holly Navarre Water System Incorporated. Backup is in the book. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 3 is recommend expansion of the school district's summer food program to include Santa Villa Park, Benny Russell Park, Florida Town Park, Patriot Park, and McAllister Park. I move approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 4 is recommend submission of an application to the U.S. Department of Justice Byrne Memorial Grant local solicitation in the amount of $16,069, requiring no local match. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 5 is recommend submission of an application for the 2014 COPS Hiring Program Grant for 9 entry-level law enforcement officers for the Sheriff's Office. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 6 is recommend 5-year extension of the contract with Warren Averett / O'Sullivan Creel for independent audit services at the current rate structure pursuant to Florida and federal requirements. I move approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 7, recommend Commissioners Cole and Melvin as the board appointees and Jim Young as a homesteaded property owner appointee to the 2014 Value Adjustment Board, VAB. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 8 is recommend Commissioner Cole as credential delegate to 2014 annual NACO business meeting. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 9 is recommend rescheduling Monday, June the 9th, 2014 pre-budget workshop to Tuesday, June the 10th, 2014 at 1:30 p.m. due to a conflict with local Restore Council meetings, and I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 10 is recommend scheduling public hearings on the following ordinances establishing proposed municipal service benefit units, MSBU projects, establishment of a street lighting MSBU for Foxborough, Diamond Creek, Longview, Pace Mill Creek, and Ashley Plantation, establishment of paving, water, sewer MSBU for Ponderosa subdivision, establishment of a subdivision improvement MSBU for Hidden Forest subdivision. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 11 is recommend soliciting proposals for solid waste collection services north of Yellow River with options for establishment of 1 franchise area north of Yellow River or 2 areas either side of a line just south of County Road 82, and we've already put in the necessary safeguards to protect our small local haulers. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 12 is recommend joining Escambia County in requesting the state of Florida be responsible for local non-FEMA match for the recently declared flooding event. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 13 is recommend Florida Development of Revenue contract for child support enforcement by the sheriff through June the 30th, 2017. I recommend approval without objection.
Commissioner,
Yes, ma'am.
as formality, you may want to ask for public comment since this was added on.
Okay, this is an add-on from Monday, so the public has not seen this. Is there anybody in the public or anybody here that wish to address this issue? Seeing none, hearing none, I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 14, these meetings, unless otherwise noted below, will be held in the boardroom of Santa Rosa County Administrative Center. It's a lengthy list. They're available online, and if you're present here, we'll provide you a copy before you leave if you would like to have one. I recommend approval without objection.
Mr. Chairman, just
Yes, sir.
as we have in the past, I want to bring everyone's attention to the fact that the Judicial Facility Workshop on May 27th will be held in the Tiger Point Community Center down in the south end of the county.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for that. It's a great little facility, and it's very handy. We appreciate you making that available to us. As noted, I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. That concludes the Administrative Committee Engineers Report. Commissioner, Mr. Blaylock.
Thank you. Good morning. Item number 1, we're recommending the bid in the amount of $48,175 from WJ Sapp and Son, Inc. for the Industrial Park Rail Spur Rehabilitation as the low bidder meeting specifications.
I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes.
And that concludes the engineer's report.
Public Service Committee, Commissioner Lynchard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 is recommend renewal of the radio maintenance agreement with CES Inc., DBA Team 1 Communications at the current annual rate of $144,478. I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 2, recommend the updated Florida Department of Transportation functional classification roadway map for Santa Rosa County as recommended by the Transportation Planner, and I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
And that concludes Public Services.
Public Works, Commissioner Cole.
Thank you. Public Works Committee this morning has 3 items. Item number 1 is recommend proposals from Rouse Grassing LLC for sod at $1.05 per square yard for Munson Highway Small County Outreach Project funded by the Florida Department of Transportation. Move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 2, recommend declaring 1 zero-turn mower as surplus property from Parks Department and transferred to Santa Rosa Correctional Institute. I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 3, recommend extension of contract with Panhandle Grading and Paving Incorporated for asphalt services for 1 year at current rates. I move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes Public Works Committee.
Budget and Finance Committee, Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Budget and Finance Committee has 6 items this morning. Item number 1 is recommend budget amendment 2014-130 in the amount of $34,150 from the capital fund for 3 mowers for the Parks Department as approved at the May 8th, 2014 meeting. I move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 2 is recommend budget amendment 2014-131 in the amount of $7,720 for replacement of the South Communication Tire Repeater from ICP funds. Move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 3, recommend budget amendment 2014-132 in the amount of $31,450 from the capital fund for 3-year renewal of WebSense Internet Security System subscription as approved at the May 8th, 2014 meeting. I move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 4, recommend budget amendment 2014-133 in the amount of $40,330 from the capital fund for the color copier for the co-op extension at $6,500, renovations to the restrooms and lifeguard tires on Navarre Beach at $13,830, and the complete handicap boardwalk in Navarre Park, $20,000. Move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Okay. Item 5 is Budget Amendment 2014-134 in the amount of $1,904 for the completion of US 98 landscaping project from the District 5 Recreation Funds. Move that without objection.
Commissioner,
Yes, ma'am.
do you mind calling for public comment on that one, please?
Thank you. Is there anybody from the general public that has a concern or comment about item number 5, which is budget amendment that allows $1,904 to complete this landscaping project? Seeing none, I close the public input and move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 6 is recommend county expenditures and check register, which I've signed off on and turned into the secretary for your approval, and I move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes budget and finance report.
Okay, county administrator, county attorney, public forum. Yes, ma'am.
Wallace Mahout, 5500 Cox Road, Milton, Florida. As far as the incorporation of Navarre, I know that information will be provided to all the folks down there, and as Sandra Cantu brought up, it will not only affect Navarre, but then it will affect the rest of the county as far as funds and things like that. How does the rest of the county get to have a voice in that? Or is it just a done deal once, if they do decide to incorporate?
It's a long process. It probably won't be completed in the next 2 or 3 years. And I'll be happy to, before you leave, I will print out a copy if you'd like to of the checklist they have to go through. Mm-hmm. And it's very concise, and steps are laid out by the Florida legislature, and they have a series of hoops they have to go through. And they have to complete every single one of them and in order, and if they choose to do them out of order, there's a risk, and that's why I brought this subject up. There's a risk that they would get to redo the feasibility study if they do it out of order before they've gone through the other steps. It's their own peril that they choose to do that. But I'll be glad to share that with you, and we're going to put it on the PIO is going to put it on the county website so that all the interested parties can go there and see.
Right. I do understand that. In any of those parts that they have to go through, is there any voice for the rest of the county to say, no, wait a minute, we don't want this to happen?
Through the legislature, because it has to be approved by the legislature over in Tallahassee. So you would have as good an opportunity as anyone else to voice your opinion.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Etta Lawler, 2532 Cedar Crest Lane, Navarre, Florida. I brought some copies of an email I received in the attachment. I'll give these to Hunter for each commissioner. I've already given Angie one, but maybe the budget director and Roger, you can hand one to him. In that email that was forwarded to me, that was sent out by the Florida Clean Water Network, it's an email encouraging people to contact this board regarding Santa Rosa Shores subdivision dredging up to 2 acres of Santa Rosa Sound for 3 new canals. Instead of emailing you, I came here to get some questions answered, because whenever I see taxpayers will have to pay, that sends up flags. The email states, taxpayers all over Santa Rosa County could end up paying enormous sums of money to satisfy the long-term requirement of this permit. I would like to know if there will be a cost to the taxpayers other than that subdivision paying for it. Then the email goes on to state, don't let them tell you there's an MSBU that will cover the cost. We've been trying to get public records for these accounts for months. And so far, the county will not make them available to us. There is no way that the cost of this project can be covered by a homeowners association. If the money was there, then why won't the county attorney and/or budget director answer our public records request? Well, I've never had a trouble with getting a public records request regarding anything, and especially MSBU projects. I did an extensive request on MSBU projects a few years back when you were changing stuff. So I guess my question here today is if there is any information, I'd like to see it.
I'll be glad to kind of address Ms. Lawler and the email. A citizen, not Ms. Young, but a citizen came in last month to my office and spent 3 or 4 hours going through every record we had on this. With the citizen was another woman who may have been Ms. Young. I don't know. I'm sure she introduced herself, but I don't recall her name. So we made available to that one person who has requested these records every record we have. That same citizen sent me an email later asking some questions. There were 8 or 10 or 12 questions, some of which I answered because I knew immediately, and the remainder are being worked on in Ms. Bell's office so that we can answer the question. But every record we had was produced to the citizen. And Ms. Lawler, I'm sure I still have those files pulled, and you are also more than welcome to come look through them and get copies of anything you'd like.
Okay, thank you. Quick question for the budget director. She may not know, but they're saying there is no MSBU, kind of indicating in that email, but I went on the county's website and actually the minutes of last August budget hearing, and I saw something for Santa Rosa Shores. It didn't specifically say canal dredging, but on your website, Ms. Bell, is this, that is all approved MSBUs, and it does show Santa Rosa Shores canal dredging. So I'm assuming the property owners are going to pay complete for this?
Yes.
There's no taxpayer money going to this?
Nothing outside of the MSBU.
What about long-term care or something they're indicating? It's all in the MSBU?
All in the MSBU.
Because I noticed that you got a dash line on the last year. So I imagine that's kind of an open-ended MSBU, because the other ones you got like ending in FY 14, 15, 20, 21. So I imagine that's going to be completely an open-ended.
Depending. It can go beyond what they originally determined.
Okay. I guess that answers all my questions. Thank you.
Anything else to come before the board? We are adjourned.